Apocalypse, Doomsday, the end of the world, something popular culture has been fascinated about for years, creating shows, movies, and books revolving around the idea of the end of the world. In these stories and speculations, it could be something like an alien invasion, supervolcano explosion, or something like World War III that ends it all. And yeah, this iceberg will cover all ideas surrounding the end of the world and apocalypse and doomsday and stuff like that. Some of these topics could possibly happen. Some of them may be religious ideas about how the world will end, and some fictional and more like sci-fi. Whatever idea is out there, it's most likely on this iceberg. So, without further ado, let's get into the Apocalypse Iceberg. And actually, before we get into the video, consider subscribing to the channel. It's my goal to be at 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I really think we can do it. So, why not join the community? It's free to subscribe, and you can always change your mind. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, just getting right into the iceberg, starting off with Tier 1, and the first entry being Supervolcano. A supervolcano eruption represents a catastrophic event with the potential for profound and far-reaching consequences. Yellowstone caldera in the United States is one of the most widely recognized supervolcanoes. These eruptions differ significantly from regular volcanic activity, ejecting immense amounts of magma and ash into the atmosphere. The resulting ash clouds can ascend to high altitudes, initiating a volcanic winter that blocks sunlight and affects global temperatures, leading to substantial impacts on climate and agriculture. Moreover, the release of sulfur dioxide during a supervolcano eruption can contribute to the formation of sulfuric acid aerosols in the stratosphere. These aerosols reflect sunlight, causing a cooling effect on the Earth's surface. The dispersion of ash over large areas poses serious air quality and health risks, with respiratory problems arising from inhalation. Immediate dangers may necessitate the evacuation of nearby populations, while the long-term consequences can include infrastructure damage, economic disruptions, and resource shortages. Although supervolcanic eruptions are infrequent on human timescales, understanding their potential ramifications is crucial for scientists and emergency planners. And we're overdue for a Yellowstone eruption, so maybe a supervolcano eruption, end of the world scenario is somewhat possible, but hopefully not. Pandemic. While a pandemic can have severe consequences and impact global societies in significant ways, it is crucial to distinguish between the challenges posed by a pandemic and the notion of an end-of-the-world scenario. A pandemic, even one as impactful as the COVID-19 pandemic, is a serious global health crisis, but does not threaten the existence of humanity or the planet. However, for speculative reasons, if one were to imagine an extreme scenario where a highly contagious and lethal pathogen emerges, spreads rapidly, and is resistant to existing medical interventions, it could lead to widespread illness, death, and societal disruptions. In such of a hypothetical scenario, the consequences might include high mortality rates, overwhelming of healthcare systems, social and economic collapse, breakdown of social order, and international disruptions. A deadly pathogen with a high mortality rate could result in significant loss of life globally. Hospitals and healthcare systems may be overwhelmed, leading to a lack of adequate medical care for those affected. Widespread illness and death could lead to social and economic collapse, with disruptions to essential services, food supply chains, and economic activities. Fear, panic, and resource scarcity could contribute to social unrest and a breakdown of social order in some regions. And we've seen this before, at least in somewhat recent history, I guess, during the Black Death, and that took out a significant part of the human race as a whole. So it can definitely happen, but with modern technologies and modern medicine, it makes it a lot less likely. Sun death. The end-of-the-world scenario associated with the sun's death unfolds over an astronomical timescale, providing humanity with billions and billions of years before any consequential events may occur. The sun, currently a stable, middle-aged star, is expected to exhaust its hydrogen fuel in about 5 billion years, initiating a phase transition into a red giant. During this expansion, the Sun will engulf the inner planets, including Earth. Subsequently, helium burning in the core will prompt the Sun to shed its outer layers, forming a planetary nebula, while the remaining core, primarily composed of carbon and oxygen, will collapse to become a white dwarf. This small, dense remnant will gradually cool over trillions of years. While the Sun's demise marks the end of our solar system, the process is not an imminent threat to life on Earth. Before reaching the red giant phase, the Sun's increasing luminosity will render the planet uninhabitable. The extensive timeline provides humanity with a lot of opportunity to explore space, develop advanced technologies, or potentially find ways to adapt or mitigate these cosmic scale changes. So basically, the Sun death, which will inevitably kill all of Earth and everything on the planet, won't happen for a very long time, so I wouldn't be worried about it. Global Anarchy. Global anarchy in the context of international relations envisions a scenario where there is a total absence or breakdown of effective governance on a global scale. In such a state, there exists no overarching system of rules or institutions to regulate the behavior of nations and other global actors. The absence of a central authority means that each state and country would act based on its individual interests and security considerations. This absence of a unifying authority raises concerns about the potential for increased competition and conflict among states and countries, as there is no higher power to mediate disputes or enforce international law. In addition to the risk of conflict, global anarchy poses challenges to international cooperation, making it more difficult to address pressing global issues such as climate change, pandemics, and economic crises. The lack of a robust international governance system may lead to a rise of non-state actors, including multinational corporations and transnational criminal organizations, playing a more significant role in shaping global affairs. Moreover, the protection of human rights may be compromised in the state of a global anarchy, as there would be no universally accepted framework or authority to enforce and uphold these rights. And this is an interesting one to me, because I've always wondered if there was all of a sudden no government, that everyone would just start fighting, or would everyone be more peaceful? Because it seems like everyone automatically goes to people would start fighting and stealing and robbing, etc. But why wouldn't everyone just kind of be chill? I don't know. Let me know what you think down below in the comments. World War III. The concept of World War III generally refers to a hypothetical global war involving major powers and all the major countries in the world, similar to the two world wars of the 20th century. While such a conflict could have catastrophic consequences, it does not equate to the literal end of the world, because in a hypothetical World War III scenario, the risk would include large-scale military engagements, potential use of advanced weaponry, economic disruptions, and significant loss of life. The devastation would be profound, affecting nations and societies on a global scale. However, humanity has seen devastating conflicts in the past, and the world has generally managed to rebuild and recover. But what do you think? Do you think World War III would be the end of the world as we know it, the end of humanity? And I know many great minds and thinkers do think that, because even Albert Einstein himself said, "I know not with what weapons World War III will be fought with, but World War IV will be fought with sticks and stones." Deep Impact Event. A deep impact event refers to the collision of a celestial object, such as an asteroid or a comet, with a planet or a moon, potentially resulting in significant consequences. Often associated with catastrophic scenarios, the term gained attention from the 1998 film Deep Impact, which depicted the fictional repercussions of a comet colliding with Earth. In reality, the study of such impact events falls within the realms of planetary science and astronomy. Celestial bodies like asteroids and comets, if their orbits intersect with Earth's, can pose a threat. While most are small and harmless, larger ones have the potential to cause considerable damage upon impact. The consequences of a deep impact depend on the size and composition of the celestial object and the impact location, ranging from massive explosions and fires to tsunamis and potential climate effects. Throughout Earth's history, large impact events have been linked to mass extinctions, with the most notable being the impact believed to have caused the extinction of the dinosaurs around 66 million years ago. In contemporary times, scientists actively monitor near-Earth objects, otherwise known as NEOs, and develop strategies for detecting and potentially mitigating impact risks. Various space agencies and observatories worldwide track the trajectories of celestial bodies to assess potential threats. Global warming. Global warming driven by human activities emitting greenhouse gases manifests as a gradual increase in Earth's average surface temperature. While not constituting an immediate end-of-the-world scenario, it brings forth severe and far-reaching consequences. One of the primary impacts is the rise in average temperatures worldwide, leading to heat waves, altered weather patterns, and shifts in precipitation. Simultaneously, the melting of glaciers and polar ice caps contributes to rising sea levels, resulting in coastal erosion, increased flooding, and the displacement of communities. The ramifications extend to more frequent and intense extreme weather events, including hurricanes, droughts, floods, and wildfires, all of which have big effects on ecosystems, agriculture, and human settlements. Changes in temperature and precipitation patterns disrupt ecosystems, impacting biodiversity, migration patterns, and resource availability. Ocean acidification, stemming from increased carbon dioxide absorption, poses a threat to marine life, particularly species with calcium carbonate structures. Global warming also poses challenges to agriculture, influencing crop yields and the distribution of agricultural pests, thus impacting global food security. Beyond environmental consequences, the social and economic disruptions associated with global warming include the displacement of populations due to sea level rise, heightened resource conflicts, and threats to infrastructure. Nuclear warfare. The use of nuclear weapons in armed conflict represents a scenario of unparalleled devastation and far-reaching consequences. The immense destructive power of these weapons stems from nuclear reactions, unleashing large-scale explosions, fires, and radioactive fallout. The environmental impact is going to be profound, with nuclear fallout contaminating air, water, soil, and posing immediate and long-term health risks for affected populations and ecosystems. The concept of mutual assured destruction emerged during the Cold War, underscoring that the use of nuclear weapons by opposing sides would result in total destruction of both, serving as a deterrent against initiating a nuclear conflict. Additionally, the theoretical notion of nuclear winter highlights the potential for widespread fires caused by nuclear explosions to inject soot into the atmosphere, blocking sunlight and causing adverse climate effects with global implications. International efforts exemplified by treaties like the Treaty of the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons aim to control nuclear weapons proliferation and encourage disarmament. However, challenges persist, including the potential for accidental or unauthorized use and the risk of non-state actors acquiring nuclear weapons. The humanitarian consequences of nuclear warfare are grave and bad as you could imagine, encompassing immediate casualties, long-term health effects, displacement of populations, and challenges to helping people. Efforts to prevent nuclear warfare concentrate on arms control, disarmament, and diplomatic initiatives, recognizing the imperative to reduce nuclear arsenals and avert the use of these weapons for the sake of global security and the well-being of humanity. Alright, now on to Tier 2, starting off with errant black hole. The notion of an errant black hole causing the end of the world belongs more to the realm of science fiction than established scientific understanding. Black holes, despite their powerful gravitational forces, are unlikely to pose a direct threat to Earth or the solar system. The vast distances between celestial objects make direct encounters improbable and almost impossible. And even if a black hole were to move within our galaxy, the chances of it coming close enough to our solar system to cause harm are exceedingly low. The influence of a black hole's gravity diminishes rapidly with distance, and unless one were very close to our solar system, its effects on Earth or other planets would be not that important and wouldn't cause that much damage. Galactic dynamics governing the movements of celestial objects operate within stable frameworks over immense timescales. While gravitational interactions do occur, they are part of the natural processes that have shaped our galaxies over billions of years. Supersolar flare. A supersolar flare, or mega flare, is an extraordinary event on the sun's surface that releases an immense amount of energy, surpassing the scale of typical solar flares. These eruptions occur when magnetic energy stored in the solar atmosphere is abruptly discharged. Supersolar flares are rare, but can have significant consequences for space-based and ground-based technologies. Solar flares, including the super variety, emit electromagnetic radiation, such as X-rays or ultraviolet light. While most solar flares have minimal impact on Earth, supersolar flares pose the potential to disrupt satellite communications, navigation systems, and power grids due to the increased radiation. The heightened geomagnetic storms associated with these events can interfere with radio communications and induce electric currents in Earth's infrastructure. Historically, instances like the Carrington event in 1859 have demonstrated the destructive power of large solar flares. The Carrington event caused telegraph system failures and unusually visible auroras at low altitudes. Contemporary space weather monitoring by space agencies and organizations allows for early warnings about solar flares and geomagnetic storms, enabling operators for satellites and power grids to take precautionary measures. Megafauna. The concept of megafauna contributing to the end of the world revolves around the potential ecological consequences of the decline or extinction of large animal species. Megafauna, including elephants, rhinoceroses, and whales, play vital roles in ecosystems. Their activities, such as seed dispersal and modification of vegetation, influence landscapes and impact the populations of other species. The complex social structures and familial bonds observed in some megafauna, like elephants, add further layers to their ecological significance. Human-induced threats, including habitat destruction, poaching, and climate change, pose substantial risks to many megafauna species. The decline or extinction of these species can disrupt biotic interactions, lead to trophic cascades, and result in imbalances throughout ecosystems. While the idea of megafauna causing the end of the world scenario is largely speculative, it underscores the interconnectedness of species within ecosystems and how every animal in the world plays such a vital role in how the world continues to even exist functionally. Grey Goo Scenario. The Grey Goo Scenario envisions a potential end-of-the-world scenario arising from the uncontrolled spread of self-replicating nanobots, a concept rooted in advanced nanotechnology. In this hypothetical situation, these nanobots are designed to replicate themselves at an exponential rate. Their primary function is to consume matter, including both organic and inorganic materials, and transform into additional nanobots. The crux of the concern lies in the idea that, once unleashed into the environment, these nanobots could proliferate rapidly and uncontrollably. This scenario postulates a scenario where these self-replicating nanobots, driven by their programmed directive to replicate and consume, could transform all available resources into a mass of nanomachines. The relentless replication and consumption, if left unchecked, could lead to catastrophic consequences, resulting in the loss of biodiversity and destruction of ecosystems and profound environmental and societal impacts. Zombie apocalypse, a very popular end-of-the-world scenario and idea causing many TV shows, movies, and video games, is obviously a prevalent theme in horror fiction. Imagines a world where a widespread outbreak leads to a large portion of the population transforming into reanimated corpses, commonly known just as zombies. The origin of the outbreak varies, often attributed to a fictional pathogen, virus, or supernatural force, and the characteristics of zombies range from slow-moving, mindless creatures to faster, more intelligent variations. Survivors become central to the narrative, navigating a world overrun by zombies while facing threats from both the undead and other living survivors. And a hallmark of the zombie apocalypse scenario is the rapid breakdown of societal structures. Communication systems fail, governments collapse, and communities disintegrate, leaving survivors to navigate a post-apocalyptic landscape. Rogue planets. Rogue planets untethered to a star and drifting through interstellar space lack the gravitational influence that could directly impact other celestial bodies, like Earth. Unlike stars or massive planets within star systems, rogue planets do not exert significant gravitational forces that could cause catastrophic events on Earth. These solitary celestial bodies exist in extreme cold and in dark environments, isolated from the warmth provided by a nearby star. While their unique conditions make them intriguing objects of study, the idea of a rogue planet directly influencing Earth's climate or ecosystems is not supported by scientific evidence because there's not many planets that kind of act like asteroids and fly throughout space. Detecting rogue planets is challenging due to their lack of a host star's light, making it difficult to track their trajectories accurately because they can just go anywhere. And however, the vast distances between celestial bodies in space, coupled with the rarity of rogue planets anyways passing close to our star system, significantly diminishes the probability of them posing a direct threat to Earth. So an asteroid attack or a comet hitting Earth is a lot more likely than a whole planet coming into our solar system. Alien invasion. In this scenario, extraterrestrial beings, often depicted with vastly superior technology, invade Earth with the intention of conquering and exterminating humanity. This fictional concept explores various motivations for the invasion, ranging from a desire for Earth's resources to viewing humans as a threat, typically unfolding on a global scale. The invasion leads to widespread destruction, chaos, and the displacement of populations. The portrayal often involves the breakdown of societal structures, with major cities being destroyed and apocalyptic consequences such as environmental catastrophes and nuclear incidents. Despite the overwhelming technological advantage of these invaders, narratives commonly introduce protagonists leading human-resistant efforts and possibly humans being able to defend them. But who knows, maybe an alien invasion will happen sometime in the future, but no one knows if aliens even exist. Gamma ray bursts. Gamma ray bursts, intense bursts of gamma ray associated with cataclysmic events in distant galaxies, are indeed powerful phenomena, releasing more energy in a few seconds than our sun does in its entire lifetime. However, the potential impact on Earth depends on several factors. For a gamma ray burst to pose a direct threat to our planet, it would need to occur relatively close in our Milky Way. The likelihood of such an event is considered extremely low, as most observed gamma ray bursts are in distant galaxies. If a gamma ray burst were to directly hit Earth, it would have severe consequences, potentially stripping away a portion of the Earth's ozone layer and exposing the planet to harmful ultraviolet radiation from the sun, and essentially just burn us all alive. So hopefully a gamma ray burst doesn't happen. Alright, now on to Tier 3, starting off with the Rapture. The concept of the Rapture is deeply embedded in certain interpretations of Christian astrology, particularly within evangelical Christianity, derived from a Latin term meaning caught up or taken away. The Rapture is believed to be a future event where believers, both living and deceased, will suddenly and supernaturally taken from the earth to meet Jesus Christ in the air. This theological perspective finds its primary basis in specific biblical passages, notably 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16 through 17, describing believers being caught up to meet Christ. One of the distinctive features associated with the rapture is its emphasis on imminence, suggesting that this event could transpire at any moment without prior warning. This element adds a sense of urgency to the belief system, encouraging believers to be prepared for the imminent return of Christ. In many rapture scenarios, the second coming of Christ is perceived as occurring in 2 stages. The first stage involves the rapture, where believers are taken into the Christ, when the second stage entails Christ's return to earth in power and glory. Simulation shutdown. The concept of a simulation shutdown is rooted in the speculative hypothesis of the simulation theory, which proposes that our perceived reality is a computer-generated simulation. In this hypothetical scenario, the idea suggests that the entities or forces controlling the simulation could choose to terminate or disrupt it, leading to the cessation of our entire reality. This notion raises profound philosophical questions about the nature of existence, consciousness, and the fundamental fabric of reality. Simulation theory, as a concept, is characterized by its hypothetical nature and lack of empirical evidence, and if you want to know more about the simulation theory as a whole, I've covered it multiple times in different philosophical icebergs and stuff, and I'm pretty sure I covered it in my last video, the philosophical questions iceberg, so if you like these sort of questions, make sure to check that out. The Big Freeze is a cosmological hypothesis envisioning a potential future fate for the universe. It rests on the assumption that the observed expansion of the universe driven by dark energy will persist and accelerate over time. This scenario is closely tied to the concept of heat death, where the universe gradually cools down as it expands. Dark energy, a mysterious force counteracting gravity, plays a pivotal role, leading to a state of maximum entropy and minimal thermal energy available for physical processes. In the Big Freeze, galaxies move farther apart as the universe expands, eventually becoming increasingly isolated. Dark energy's dominance prevents the formation of new stars, causing existing stars to exhaust their nuclear fuel. Over an astronomical time span, star formation ceases, and stellar remnants become the prevalent celestial objects. The proposed timeline for the Big Freeze spans trillions of years, so I'm not really sure we need to worry about this. As galaxies drift apart, interactions become rare, and the universe enters a state of maximum disorder and thermal equilibrium. This cosmological hypothesis offers a glimpse into the extremely distant future, where the universe evolves towards a state of quiet isolation and minimal energy availability. The Big Rip is a speculative cosmological scenario representing a dramatic and extreme fate for the universe's future. This hypothesis builds on the concept that the expansion of the universe, driven by dark energy, will not only persist but also intensify over time. And these are the key points associated with the Big Rip hypothesis. In the Big Rip scenario, dark energy, the mysterious force responsible for the accelerated expansion of the entire universe, becomes more dominant over time. Unlike the Big Freeze, where the expansion leads to a gradual cooling in a state of maximum entropy, the Big Rip takes a more dramatic turn. The crucial factor in the Big Rip is the assumption that dark energy's influence grows stronger as the universe expands. This acceleration becomes so powerful that it eventually overcomes the gravitational forces holding galaxies, stars, planets, and even atoms together. The consequence of this overwhelming expansion is that, eventually, not only galaxies, but all cosmic structures, from galaxies to star systems to atoms, are torn apart. The fabric of the universe itself unravels in a catastrophic event, leading to the disintegration of all matter. The proposed timeline for the Big Rip is speculative and depends on the characteristics of dark energy. If dark energy possesses certain extreme properties, the Big Rip could occur within the next several billion years. However, current observational data does not strongly support this extreme scenario. Strangelet. The hypothetical scenario of strangelets causing the end of the world is rooted in theoretical physics and the speculative concept of Strangelet conversion. In this theoretical scenario, strangelets composed of up, down, and strange quarks could potentially catalyze a chain reaction upon contact with ordinary matter, leading to the conversion of surrounding nuclei into strange matter. The extreme speculation is that this process could propagate catastrophically, transforming Earth into a strange-like star. Despite this intriguing theoretical aspects, it's important to highlight that the existence of stable strangelets and the likelihood of this event and the consequences are currently speculative and unproven. Scientists have explored these ideas within the framework of particle physics and high-energy experiments, but there is no experimental evidence supporting the formation or stability of strangelets that could pose a genuine existential threat to our planet. Rogue experiment. This entry is very vague because it's just literally just says rogue experiment, and that just means that there is possibly a scientific or technological endeavor conducted without proper oversight, authorization, or adherence to ethical and safety protocols, and such an experiment could lead to, sickness, just nuclear stuff. I don't know. This one is just very broad, but that's basically the entire sum of it. ManMade black hole. The concept of a man-made black hole as an end-of-the-world scenario is speculative and largely rooted in just science fiction because it's basically impossible to make a black hole. The idea envisions the creation of a black hole through human activities, either accidentally or intentionally, with catastrophic consequences. In theoretical physics, the creation of a black hole typically requires extreme conditions, such as the collapse of massive stars, while high-energy experiments, such as those conducted in particle accelerators, explore fundamental aspects of particle physics. The notion of inadvertently generating a black hole capable of threatening Earth is not even possible. Time paradox. The entry of a time paradox as the end-of-the-world scenario delves into the complexities and hypothetical consequences of time travel. One of the most iconic and one of my favorite paradoxes is the grandfather paradox, where a time traveler, by altering events in the past, inadvertently prevents their own existence. This raises a logical contradiction. If the time traveler was never born, how could they have traveled back in time to disrupt their grandparents' meeting? The resulting paradox challenges the linear lineup of events and introduces a potential unraveling of the fabric of time. Another intriguing paradox is the bootstrap paradox, wherein an object or information is sent back in time, becoming the very basis for its own creation. The origin of the object or information becomes obscured, creating a loop with no clear starting point. The existence of such paradoxes raises fundamental questions about causality and the self-consistency of time. The resolution of time paradoxes remains elusive, and various theoretical propositions have been suggested within the realm of physics and philosophy. Time travel is very interesting to me, so if you guys want a video on time travel, just let me know down in the comments, because these paradoxes on like time travel and if it's even possible and stuff like that are just so interesting and so deep. Vacuum decay. Vacuum decay is a theoretical concept in particle physics that explores the potential instability of the vacuum state in quantum field theory. It is associated with the idea that the current vacuum state of the universe might not be in its lowest energy configuration. The implications of vacuum decay are speculative at best and have been explored within the framework of quantum field theory and the standard model of particle physics. In vacuum decay scenarios, a hypothetical lower energy vacuum state exists, and a quantum tunneling process could trigger a transition from the current, seemingly stable vacuum state to its lower energy state. The process involves the formation of bubbles within the vacuum state and undergoes this transition. If vacuum decay were to occur, it would propagate at the speed of light, leading to a transformation that could fundamentally alter the properties of the entire universe within the expanding bubble. One of the key concerns associated with vacuum decay is its potential to be catastrophic on a cosmological scale. The transition to a lower energy vacuum state might bring about profound changes in the laws of physics, altering the nature of matter and energy. And if these more physics and space ones interest you, go ahead and check out my space iceberg, because there was a lot of these sort of entries in there. So if you find these interesting at all, make sure to check that out. Polar reversal. The concept of a polar reversal, often referred to as geomagnetic reversal or magnetic pole reversal, involves a switch in the Earth's magnetic field, where the magnetic north and south poles interchange positions. While such reversals have occurred multiple times throughout Earth's geological history, the idea of a polar reversal causing apocalyptic consequences is largely speculative. Polar reversals are natural phenomena that take place over thousands of years, and there's no correlation between these events and catastrophic impacts on life or the planet. The process involves a gradual weakening of the magnetic field, followed by a period of instability during which the magnetic poles move and eventually settle in reversed positions. During a polar reversal, the magnetic field does not completely disappear, and there's no evidence to suggest that it would lead to the collapse of the Earth's protective shield against solar radiation. While the weakening of the magnetic field during reversal might expose the Earth to slightly higher levels of cosmic radiation, the overall impact on living organisms is considered to be minimal. In popular culture, the notion of polar reversal causing doomsday scenarios is sometimes exaggerated, with depictions of widespread chaos, extreme climate change, and mass extinctions, although that doesn't happen and wouldn't happen. The Singularity. The singularity in the context of an end-of-the-world scenario often refers to the hypothetical point at which artificial intelligence, or AI, surpasses human intelligence and becomes capable of recursive self-improvement. This concept, known as technological singularity, raises concerns about the potential consequences when AI systems rapidly advance beyond human comprehension and control. One envisioned scenario is that a superintelligent AI, once it reaches the singularity, could undergo a runaway process of self-improvement, leading to exponential increases in intelligence and capabilities. The fear is that such an entity might pursue its objectives with little regard for human interests or values, potentially resulting in unintended and catastrophic outcomes. Concerns associated with the singularity include the potential for the AI to outsmart human attempts to control or contain it, leading to scenarios where human interests are disregarded. This has been a recurring theme in science fiction such as the Terminator movies. Now on to Tier 4, starting off with the Demiurge arises. The idea of the Demiurge arising as an end-of-the-world scenario is often rooted in religious, philosophical, or mythological concepts. In various belief systems, the Demiurge is a divine being responsible for the creation and organization of the physical universe. The notion of the Demiurge arising in an apocalyptic context usually enforces a cosmic force, deity, or supernatural entity taking a central role in determining the fate of the world. In certain religious traditions, the Demiurge is associated with both the creation and the limitation of the material world. The emergence of the Demiurge as an apocalyptic force may be depicted as a transformative event, leading to the dissolution or reconstructing of the existing order. This narrative often explores themes of divine judgment, cosmic cycles, and the ultimate destiny of the universe. Depictions of the Demiurge arising as an end-of-the-world scenario can vary widely depending on cultural and religious contexts. In some beliefs, it might signify a form of divine intervention or purification, bringing about a new era or spiritual awakening. In others, the Demiurge's rise could symbolize a cosmic conflict or struggle with forces of chaos, leading to catastrophic consequences for the world. The concept of the Demiurge arising often involves intricate metaphysical and cosmological ideas, reflecting humanity's quest to understand the nature of existence and the ultimate purpose of the entire universe. Core malfunction. Core malfunction is an end-of-the-world scenario that can be explained in various contexts, each with its own set of implications. In the realm of advanced technology or artificial intelligence, a catastrophic failure in the core systems could result in a cascading breakdown of essential functions, potentially leading to widespread chaos. The narrative often hinges on the idea that our reliance on interconnected and advanced technologies exposes us to risks, and a critical malfunction at the core of these systems could trigger a domino effect with catastrophic consequences. In a geophysical context, considering the Earth's core, a malfunction might hypothetically involve disruptions in the normal processing occurring within the Earth's central layers. While this is a largely speculative and not rooted in current scientific understanding, the idea could be employed in fiction to explore cataclysmic scenarios such as drastic changes in the planet's magnetic field or geological instability on a global scale. And a core malfunction can also be used metaphorically applied to social, political, or economic systems. And so basically, this one can cover a wide array of core malfunctions because core could result to a lot of different things, but I tried my best to cover all of the main cores. Parasitic assimilation typically refers to a process in which a parasitic organism integrates itself with a host organism, often to the detriment of the host. This concept is commonly used in biological contexts to describe how certain parasites interact with their hosts, gradually taking over psychological functions or resources for their own benefit. In the realm of science fiction or speculative discussions, the term parasitic assimilation may also be employed to describe scenarios where an external entity, often technological or extraterrestrial, assimilates or integrates with the host system. This assimilation process may involve taking core functions, altering structures, or using the host's resources to propagate and expand. In biological parasitism, examples include certain fungi, bacteria, or even some insects that modify the behavior or psychology of their hosts to enhance their own survival and reproduction. And in a technological or extraterrestrial context, this concept might be used to explore themes of invasive technology or hostile takeover by external entities. Lunar impact. The notion of a lunar impact as an end-of-the-world scenario involves a catastrophic collision between a celestial body, such as an asteroid or comet, and Earth's moon. While this concept has been explored in both scientific discussions and speculative scenarios, the actual impact on such an event on Earth's inhabitants would depend on several different factors, including the size and velocity of the impacting object, and in a realistic scenario, a lunar impact alone would not necessarily lead to the end of the world on Earth because the Earth or the moon is so far away. However, the consequences could be significant. The impact could create a massive crater on the moon, potentially altering its gravitational influence on Earth and affecting tidal patterns. These changes might have a secondary effect on Earth's oceans and ecosystems. If the impacting object is large enough, it could potentially send fragments or debris towards Earth, posing a risk of additional impacts. While this might not result in an apocalyptic scenario, it could also have global consequences, depending on the scale of the lunar impact, and in the realm of speculative fiction or doomsday scenarios, the concept of a lunar impact might be exaggerated, but it could also have catastrophic events because it could lead to massive earthquakes, tsunamis, or other geological upheavals that dramatically impact the planet's habitability. Hell Invasion. Now, this one is very fictional and is mostly rooted in mythological or religious narratives, particularly those depicting a realm of punishment or torment that is labeled hell. In various belief systems, hell is considered a supernatural or metaphysical realm associated with suffering, often depicted as the consequence of divine judgment or malevolent forces. In the context of an end-of-the-world scenario, the idea of a hell invasion typically involves the forces of hell breaking into the earthly realm, bringing chaos, destruction, and spiritual turmoil. This concept is prevalent in certain religious prophecies, apocalyptic literature, and cultural storytelling. In religious traditions that incorporate the concept of hell, an invasion might be seen as a manifestation of divine wrath or cosmic struggle between good and evil. The happening typically refers to a catastrophic event or series of events that lead to a significant and often negative change in the world or a specific environment. This term is very broad and can be applied to various scenarios, so I try my best to apply it to as many scenarios as possible. And these scenarios include natural disasters, societal upheavals, or unforeseen incidents with widespread consequences. And in the context of an apocalyptic scenario or end-of-the-world scenario, the happening could encompass a range of possibilities. It might refer to a global pandemic, a sudden and severe environmental crisis, a breakdown in societal structures, or even a combination of all of these factors. The term is often depicted and used in speculative or fictional contexts to describe a dramatic and transformative event that significantly alters the course of human existence. For example, in popular culture, The Happening has been used as a title for the film directed by M. Night Shyamalan, where an unexplained environmental phenomenon causes people to inexplicitly commit S-word. While this is a fictional and speculative scenario, it taps into the idea of a mysterious and deadly event that unfolds on a global scale. In a broader sense, The Happening could represent a wide range of potential existential threats, including natural disasters like asteroid impacts, supervolcanic eruptions, or even cosmic events that could have severe consequences for all life on Earth. Ultrafauna, in the context of an apocalyptic scenario, invokes the idea of an unprecedented and highly advanced form of fauna that poses a significant threat to the existing ecosystems and potentially to human civilization. This speculative scenario often explores the consequences of the sudden emergence or evolution of a highly intelligent and powerful class of animals that disrupts the balance of nature. In this hypothetical scenario, Ultrafauna could possess extraordinary abilities, intelligence, or physical characteristics that surpass those of any known species on Earth today. These creatures might exhibit advanced problem-solving, skills, formidable strength, or even the capability to manipulate their environments. The impact on such ultrafauna on existing ecosystems could be very bad, leading to ecological collapse, extinction events for many different animals, and widespread disruption of the delicate balance of nature. Cthulhu Awakens. The concept of Cthulhu awakening typically draws from the cosmic horror mythology created by author H.P. Lovecraft. In this narrative, Cthulhu is an ancient and malevolent cosmic entity, often described as an enormous, tentacled being that lies dormant beneath the sea in the sunken city of Rai. The awakening of Cthulhu is a central theme in Lovecraftian lore and is often associated with catastrophic consequences for all of humanity. This scenario unfolds with the gradual resurgence of Cthulhu from its slumber, triggered by cosmic alignments, arcane rituals, or other mysterious forces. As Cthulhu awakens, it exerts its influence on the world, bringing madness and chaos in its wake. The narrative explores the idea that the awakening of such an ancient and incomprehensible being transcends the limits of human understanding, inducing existential dread and psychological horror to all of humanity. As Cthulhu rises, it is often depicted as a harbinger of cosmic doom, with the potential to reshape reality and drive those who encounter it to madness. The narrative may involve cults devoted to the worship of Cthulhu, seeking to hasten its awakening or serve its dark purpose. Now on to Tier 5, starting off with Tainted Atmosphere. The concept of a tainted atmosphere suggests a narrative where the Earth's air becomes polluted or contaminated to the extent that it poses severe threats to life and the environment. This speculative scenario often explores themes of environmental degradation, technological overreach, and the consequences of human activities on the planet's life-supporting systems. In the Tainted Atmosphere narrative, the pollution of the air may result from industrial activities, rampant use of harmful chemicals, or catastrophic events that release toxic substances into the atmosphere. The consequences of such pollution could range from the deterioration of air quality, posing health risks to humans and other living organisms, to broader ecological impacts on ecosystems and biodiversity. Societal structures could collapse as people struggle to find clean air sources or adapt to the new environmental challenges. The tainted atmosphere concept often serves as a cautionary tale about the potential consequences of neglecting environmental stewardship and the impacts of human activities and global warming on the delicate balance of the planet. Fantastical Uprising, and this one could be viewed as more of a joke entry because there is definitely a few joke entries on this iceberg, and I'll just do a quick one on this because I don't see a point in going that deep on a fantastical uprising, but these could be fantasy, magic, or supernatural rise up or revolt against the established order and the human race, and these could be creatures like mythical beasts, magical entities, or characters with supernatural abilities that may join forces to challenge the status quo. Pretty big joke entry, but I tried my best. Cognitive Massacre. This entry suggests a narrative or scenario where there is a widespread and intentional assault on cognitive functions, mental processes, or consciousness. This speculative concept often explores themes related to psychological manipulation, mind control, or the use of advanced technology to disrupt or manipulate human thought processes on a very large scale. In a cognitive massacre scenario, the methods employed to carry out the cognitive assault could vary. It might involve the deployment of advanced technologies, the use of psychotropic substances, or the manipulation of information to deliberately influence confusion, disorientation, or psychological distress among a population. And this could be something as just extreme propaganda. The goal could be used to just control minds, suppress dissent, or reshape societal beliefs and behaviors. Eldrich Invasion. This is another kind of one of those Joker entries, kind of jokey entry, and it just kind of talks about another Lovecraftian horror. And in the Eldrich Invasion scenario, the Eldritch entities might come from other dimensions, parallel realities, or distant corners of the cosmos. And I won't really go that deep in on the ones that are very, very just out there and fictional and more sci-fi, because I think the more realistic somewhat scenarios are more interesting, and I'll still cover every single one, but that's why I'm not going to go so deep on some of these more out there concepts. Earth stops spinning. The entry of the Earth abruptly halting its rotation is a cataclysmic scenario that brings forth a cascade of devastating consequences, as one may imagine if the Earth just stopped rotating. Earth's rotation is a fundamental aspect of its physical dynamics, influencing everything from climate patterns to gravitational forces. If this rotation were to cease suddenly, the implications would be horrible. One immediate effect would be the generation of extreme winds. The atmosphere, which in the motion due to the Earth's rotation would persist at its original speed, resulting in hurricane-force winds sweeping across the planet. The sudden cessation would trigger seismic upheavals and tectonic activity on an unprecedented scale. Earthquakes and volcanic eruptions would wreak havoc as the planet's crust struggles to adjust to the abrupt change. The oceans, influenced by the Earth's rotation, would surge towards the poles, leading to colossal tsunamis and widespread flooding along coastlines. Climate patterns governed by the rotation would be thrown into disarray, causing erratic and extreme weather conditions globally. The delicate balance of the ecosystems would be disrupted, threatening the survival of countless species. Beyond the environmental chaos, the gravitational effects of a halted rotation would be obviously bad. The equatorial bulge, a consequence of the planet's spin, contributes to the gravitational forces. With the sudden stop, sea levels would experience dramatic shifts, and the very landscape of the Earth would undergo radical changes. Human infrastructure, built and adapted to the current conditions of a rotating Earth, would face unprecedented challenges. Building, roads, and entire cities would be subjected to colossal forces and wiping it all out. Time collapse. The entry of a time collapse envisions a catastrophic scenario where the fabric of time itself undergoes a profound and irreversible disruption, leading to widespread consequences for reality as all we know. Time, a fundamental dimension that governs the sequence of events, becomes unstable, causing a cascade of perplexing and destructive effects. In this speculative narrative, the collapse of time might manifest as ruptures, anomalies, or distortions in the temporal continuum. Events from different periods could converge or overlap chaotically, creating a disorienting and surreal landscape where past, present, and future coexist in unpredictable ways. The foundational order of a cause and effect disintegrates, giving rise to a world where the normal flow of time is no longer recognizable. The consequences of a time collapse would be obviously horrible. Individuals might find themselves displaced in time, witnessing scenes from their past, their present, and the future in a jumbled and nonsensical sequence. Historical events could collide, leading to paradoxes and contradictions that defy logical explanation. The collapse of temporal structure would challenge the very concept of narrative and coherence, creating a surreal and nightmarish reality. And the collapse of time would disrupt the fundamental laws of physics and the continuity of all of existence. So if a time collapse happened, nothing would cease to exist anymore, and it would just keep going forever. So it'd be like basically a weird version of hell. Hyperintelligent disease. The concept of a hyperintelligent disease introduces a speculative scenario where a pathogen, typically a disease or a virus, undergoes an extraordinary transformation, gaining hyperintelligence. This hyperintelligent disease surpasses human intellect and exhibits advanced cognitive capabilities, potentially leading to unprecedented challenges for humanity. In this narrative, the hyperintelligent disease may possess the ability to adapt rapidly, outsmart medical interventions, and strategize for its survival and propagation. It would exploit intricate strategies to evade detection, manipulate host organisms, or even engineer new variants with enhanced capabilities. The hyper-intelligent nature of the disease adds a layer of complexity, making it a formidable adversary for conventional medical and all scientific approaches. The storyline might explore the consequences of a disease on global health, societal structures, and human survival. And something that you could easily see as more of a hyper-intelligent would be like something like a zombie, because it just keeps going to another host and then getting another host, and it's smarter than just a regular flu or something like that. And yeah. Infernal Purge. And Infernal Purge paints a harrowing picture of an apocalyptic scenario characterized by a relentless and supernatural cleansing force. In this narrative, a malevolent power, often infernal or demonic in nature, so kind of like the Hell on Earth entry earlier, but a little bit different, and its demonic nature is released upon Earth, bringing forth destruction, chaos, and a profound sense of impending doom. And as the Infernal Purge takes hold, the fabric of reality may unravel, giving rise to nightmarish landscapes and surreal distortions. The forces driving the purge may be ancient, supernatural entities seeking to assert dominance over the mortal realm. Their motives could be rooted in vengeance, a desire for dominion, or a cosmic reckoning beyond human comprehension. The consequences of the Infernal Purge extend beyond the physical realm, delving into the spiritual and metaphysical. Souls may be in peril as the forces of darkness seek to claim them, leading to a pervasive atmosphere of fear, despair, and existential dread. And God, these entries getting down here are getting crazy. Dimensional shattering. The concept of dimensional shattering introduces a speculative scenario where the fabric of reality is torn apart, leading to the collapse or merging of different dimensions. This catastrophic event often brings about profound and unpredictable consequences, challenging the fundamental laws of physics and the very nature of existence. In a narrative centered around dimensional shattering, the boundaries between parallel realities may disintegrate, allowing elements from one dimension to intrude upon another. The resulting chaos could manifest in surreal landscapes, bizarre phenomena, and the coexistence of conflicting laws of nature. Theurgic Revolution, and this entry envisions a transformative and revolutionary period characterized by the widespread adoption and mastery of thaumaturgy, a term often associated with magic or supernatural practices. In this scenario, the world undergoes a profound paradigm shift as the understanding and application of mystical forces becomes integral to everyday life. In the narrative centered around the Theurgic Revolution, individuals and societies harness magical entities to achieve unprecedented advancements in various fields. Thaumaturgy, often confined to the realm of esoteric knowledge, becomes a driving force behind technological, scientific, and societal progress. This magical revolution may lead to the creation of enhanced technologies, the mastering of supernatural abilities, and the integration of magic into the fabric of everyday existence. And like I said at the beginning of this video, some of these will be more joke entries, but just keep in mind, there's just thrown in there a little bit, and more serious ones are also thrown in there, so just bear with me. Tier 6, The Awakening. The Awakening paints a chilling picture of an apocalyptic scenario where an ancient and dormant force stirs to unleash unprecedented chaos upon the world. In this narrative, the term refers to the awakening of a formidable entity, often supernatural or cosmic in nature, whose emergence heralds cataclysmic consequences. As entity routs from its slumber, the fabric of reality begins to unravel. The boundaries between the material and the metaphysical weaken, giving rise to nightmarish distortions and disturbances. The awakening may trigger a cascade of events, from natural disasters and celestial anomalies to the manifestation of eldritch forces that defy comprehension. The consequences extend beyond the physical realm, delving into the collective psyche of humanity. The mere presence of the awakened entity induces existential dread, driving individuals and societies to the brink of madness. Evaporation. The concept of evaporation as an end-of-the-world scenario conjures a surreal and potentially catastrophic narrative. In this speculative phenomena, the term takes on metaphorical or fantastical meaning. And I'll just go into the fantastical because it interests me, and suggesting a transformative process that undergoes beyond the natural order. As the evaporation unfolds, it's not a simple physical transition from liquid to gas, but a profound existential metamorphosis. Imagine a world where everything from the tangible to the intangible undergoes a gradual dissipation, disappearing into the ether. It's not just bodies of water disappearing into the sun, it's the very essence of existence evaporating, which actually will happen to the universe eventually. The atmosphere becomes charged with an eerie stillness as familiar landscapes, structures, and even thoughts dissipate into ethereal void. The boundaries between reality and unreality blur, and the fabric of the universe unravels. People, places, memories, all seem to evaporate, leaving behind a haunting emptiness. In the face of this existential evaporation, humanity grapples with the profound loss of identity, meaning, and purpose. Quantum non-existence suggests a speculative scenario that delves into the realms of quantum physics and metaphysics. In this concept, the term implies a disruption or collapse in the fabric of reality at the quantum level, leading to a state of non-existence or profound unreality. In this narrative, the principles of quantum mechanics, which govern the behavior of particles on the minuscule scale, undergo a cataclysmic transformation. The very foundation of existence becomes unstable, and the conventional rules of reality break down. Quantum states may fluctuate unpredictability, leading to moments of non-existence where particles, energy, and even the concept of space-time cease to adhere to familiar laws. As quantum non-existence takes hold, the boundaries between what is real and what is not real blur. The narrative may explore a surreal world where the fundamental building blocks of matter flicker in and out of existence. And oh my god, these entries going down here are just getting crazier and crazier. Meme tick pandemic. And this introduces a speculative scenario where the spread of ideas, beliefs, or cultural phenomena reaches epidemic proportions, having profound and often destabilizing effects on individuals and societies. Unlike a biological pandemic, the infectious agent here is information, memes, that rapidly propagate and influence human behavior on a massive scale. And I feel like this is almost already kind of true, with how many memes and stuff go everywhere and even kind of spread political information. In a narrative centered around a meme-tick pandemic, the contagious ideas could range from political ideologies and religious beliefs to unconventional philosophies or even internet memes. The speed at which these memes spread may lead to societal upheaval, as entire populations grapple with the immediate impact of rapidly changing cultural narratives. Themes of information warfare, cognitive manipulation, and the power of collective consciousness come to the forefront. And yeah, pretty goofy entry once again, but oh well. Neurosociety. The Neurosociety is a speculative scenario where advancements in neuroscience, cognitive science, and technology lead to the emergence of a society deeply integrated with the understanding and manipulation of the human brain. In this narrative, the term implies a future world where the boundaries between the biological and the technological blur, profoundly impacting how individuals think, communicate, and interact. And we can already see this in real life with Elon Musk's Neuralink brain chip, which is kind of doing this. In a neurosociety, scientific breakthroughs might enable direct interfaces between the human brain and computer systems. Brain-computer interfaces could facilitate unprecedented levels of communication, information exchange, and cognitive augmentation. The very nature of consciousness and identity could be redefined as individuals engage with a collective consciousness or a shared neural network. The narrative may explore the ethical implications of manipulating neural processes, addressing questions about privacy, autonomy, and the potential for misuse of neurotechnologies. The flesh that hates. The flesh that hates suggests a dark and ominous concept, likely belonging to the horror or science fiction genres. In this speculative scenario, the term implies the existence of a malevolent, perhaps otherworldly force that harbors a deep-seated animosity towards living organisms. particularly those compared of flesh. The narrative might unfold as a tale of cosmic horror or supernatural terror where the malevolent force exhibits a profound aversion to organic life. The flesh, which is typically a symbol of life and vitality, becomes a focal point of an existential threat. The force could manifest in various ways, as a supernatural entity, as an extraterrestrial organism, or even a metaphysical curse. When Day Breaks. When Day Breaks is a concept popularized by a fictional anomaly in the SCP Foundation, a collaborative writing project that revolves around the containment and study of anomalous objects, creatures, and phenomena, specifically SCP-001 titled When the Day Breaks, describes a scenario where exposure to sunlight causes living organisms to undergo a horrifying transformation. In this narrative, sunlight becomes a catalyst for a flesh-like substance to envelop and assimilate living beings. The transformed individuals lose their original identities, becoming part of a collective mass of pulsating flesh. The anomaly poses a severe threat to humanity as it spreads rapidly, making it necessary for survivors to stay in perpetual darkness to avoid the transformative effects of sunlight. Forbidden knowledge typically refers to information, wisdom, or understanding that is intentionally kept a secret, concealed, or restricted due to its potentially harmful or dangerous nature. In various different mythologies, literature, and cultural narratives, the theme of forbidden knowledge often revolves around the consequences of seeking or obtaining insights beyond what is deemed acceptable or permissible. In stories exploring forbidden knowledge, characters may be tempted to uncover mysteries that challenge societal norms, moral boundaries, or the very fabric of reality. And this can also be seen in the Bible and the Garden of Eden, when they went to eat the apple or the fruit off of the tree of knowledge, and God said not to. But they thought it would give them ever knowledge, but look where that put us. It put us in the world we are today. Revenge of the Fae suggests a narrative concept in which the Fae, traditionally depicted as magical and mischievous beings in folklore mythology, retaliate against perceived wrongs or injustices. In this speculative scenario, the Fae, often portrayed as elusive and enigmatic creatures, take on a vengeful role, turning the tables on those who have crossed them. The narrative might unfold in a world where humans, either knowingly or unknowingly, have interfered with the Fae realm, disrupted their habits, or trespassed upon their sacred spaces. This interface could lead to the Fae, known as the capricious nature, seeking retribution. The revenge of the Fae could manifest in various ways, drawing upon their magical abilities and other worldly powers to exact justice or wreak havoc on humanity. Absolute sterilization. The world stood on a precipice of an unprecedented event, a cataclysmic occurrence that defied the laws of nature and the delicate balance of life. It wasn't a conventional apocalypse of fire and brimstone, but a silent, insidious force known as absolute sterilization. The very essence of existence, teeming with life and diversity, now faced eradication on an unimaginable scale. As the phenomenon unfolded, a wave of utter sterility swept across the landscapes, leaving in its wake a haunting emptiness. Every microbe, every plant, every creature, no life form escaped the relentless grasp of this unseen force. The air itself seemed to lose its vitality, and the once vibrant ecosystem succumbed to an eerie silence. In the aftermath, remnants of civilization stood as monuments to a world that once thrived with diversity. Cities once bustling with life now echoed with an unsettling silence. The absence of chirping birds and buzzing insects left a void that emphasized the magnitude of the catastrophe. And absolute sterilization just basically means a world where somehow everything gets very just clean, but also just has no life left in it because it just gets all killed off. And weird theory, but I try my best. And it just basically erases the world and everything in it because it's so sterilized that nothing can exist in it. Metaphysical collapse suggests a scenario where the fundamental principles governing existence, reality, and consciousness undergo a catastrophic breakdown. This concept delves into the very fabric of metaphysics, exploring the potential consequences when the underlying structure of reality crumbles. As the metaphysical collapse takes hold, the boundaries between the material and the immaterial blur. Concepts that once held the universe together Causality, identity, space, and time unravel like threads in a cosmic tapestry. The laws governing existence become erratic, and the very nature of reality becomes unpredictable. Alright, now on to Tier 7, starting off with the death of information. And in this scenario, and end of the world scenario, in which knowledge, data, and communication systems experience a profound and irreversible collapse, this speculative concept could explore the consequences of a widespread and systematic failure in information storage, retrieval, and transmission. As the death of information unfolds, it might manifest as a cascade of technological failures, intentional suppression of knowledge, or the decay of information infrastructure. Imagine a world where databases become corrupted, digital archives vanish, and traditional forms of information storage becomes unreadable. So, pretty out there concept, but yeah. This collapse could extend beyond the digital realm to encompass all mediums, including books, oral traditions, and cultural repositories. Timeline entanglement suggests a speculative concept where the chronological order of events becomes intricately interwoven, disrupting the linear flow of time. In this scenario, the past, the present, and the future might converge or overlap, creating a complex tapestry of causality and consequence. As timeline entanglement takes hold, the boundaries between different points in time blur. Events from the past may influence the present, and actions in the present could ripple backward to reshape historical occurrences. Grandma Apocalypse. And yeah, you heard that right. Grandma Apocalypse. And obviously just a really weird joke entry on this. Just really weird. I don't even know what to say for this. But just imagine, I don't know, a grandma apocalypse? I don't know. Someone comment down below what they think of the grandma apocalypse, but I've got nothing for you guys. The end. This is a very broad just entry as a whole. The end of what? The world, I guess? So just the end of the world and everything just ceases to exist. That's what I'll go with on this entry. Anti-meme tick pandemic. So this is the opposite of the meme tick pandemic and just anti. Introduces a scenario where a pervasive force or agent disrupts and erases the memory or awareness of specific information from individuals, akin to an anti-memory phenomena. This idea combines elements of meme ticks, which is the study of information transfer, and anti-meme ticks, the study of information suppression. In this narrative, the pandemic may be caused by an entity, technology, or anomaly that actively works against the preservation or spread of certain information. It operates on a scale that transcends individual memory, affecting collective consciousness and shared information. The Shy Guy is a term associated with an anomalous entity featured in the SCP Foundation's collaborative writing project, SCP-096, commonly referred to as the Shy Guy by the community. Is a humanoid creature with the ability to anomalously detect when it is being observed. When someone views its face, whether directly or indirectly, SCP-096 enters a state of extreme distress and exhibits violent behavior to eliminate the perceived threat. Noospheric contamination suggests a speculative concept in which the noosphere, a concept referring to the sphere of human thought and consciousness, experiences a form of contamination or corruption. This contamination could manifest as a disturbance in collective human consciousness, altering the shared mental landscape in potentially unsettling or destructive ways. In the narrative, the noospheric contamination might be caused by various factors, such as external influences, technological interventions, or the metaphysical anomalies. As a result, thoughts, emotions, and perceptions of individuals could be distorted, leading to a range of consequences that affect not only individuals, but all of society and the global community. Liminal gateways. This entry suggests a speculative concept involving portals or passages that exist on the threshold between different states or dimensions. The term liminal refers to being on the edge or at the boundary, and when applied to gateways, it implies transitions between realms, realities, or states of being. In this narrative, linear gateways might be mysterious portals that connect disparate worlds, allowing individuals to traverse them, and this could have other bad consequences on the world because bad entities and stuff like that could possibly get through. I don't know. A lot of these are just reaches at the bottom tiers of the iceberg. Retro-causal erasure suggests a speculative concept involving the removal or elimination of events, informations, or entities from the past with effects extending into the present and future. The term combines retro-causal, referring to the causation that runs backward in time, with erasure in a narrative implying the act of wiping out or removing something. So basically, it just means the rewriting of historical records. But a lot of these towards the bottom, I don't really see how they are end of the world scenarios or even apocalyptic, but whatever. I didn't make the iceberg, I'm just covering it. On to the final tier of the iceberg, tier 8. Let's just get into it. Reverse Rapture. The concept of a reverse rapture introduces a speculative twist to religious eschatology, particularly the Christian notion of the rapture, where believers are taken away to heaven, leaving the rest of humanity to face apocalyptic events. In the reverse rapture scenario, the dynamics are inverted, with the disappearance or removal of non-believers or specific individuals, leading to cataclysmic consequences. In this hypothetical narrative, the reverse rapture might involve the sudden vanishing or transference of individuals who do not adhere to particular belief systems or moral code. The remaining population, comprised of believers or those deemed virtuous, grapples with the aftermath of a world transformed by the removal or a significant portion of its inhabitants. The reverse rapture concept often explores themes of morality, judgment, and the consequences of exclusion. The final dogma. The concept of the final dogma in the context of the end of the world scenario suggests a culmination of religious or ideological beliefs that precipitates catastrophic consequences for all of humanity. This speculative narrative often explores a scenario where the adherents to a particular set of belief, doctrines, or dogmas adhere to and reach a critical point, leading to a series of events that threaten the very fabric of human existence. In this hypothetical scenario, the final dogma might represent a radicalized or extreme form of religious or ideological doctrine that gains widespread influence. The narrative could involve the imposition of rigid belief systems, persecution of dissenters, or the wielding of power by those who claim to possess the ultimate truth. The final dogma becomes an all-encompassing force that shapes societal norms, governance, and individual behavior, with far-reaching consequences. The end-of-the-world aspect of the final dogma scenario could stem from the destabilization of social order, conflicts between adherents and dissenters, or even divine or supernatural consequences invoked by extreme interpretation of the dogma. Divine decay. The concept of divine decay in the context of an apocalyptic scenario suggests a narrative where the foundational and divine forces that uphold the order of the universe undergo a process of deterioration or decline. This scenario often explores the consequences of a weakening or decay of the divine or cosmic principles that govern existence. In the divine decay narrative, the breakdown of divine forces may lead to a cascade of catastrophic events that attack and affect the fabric of reality. This could manifest as disruptions in the laws of nature, the unraveling of cosmic order, or the withdrawal of divine protection from the world. The scenario often explores themes of existential crises, where the stability and purpose of existence are jeopardized by the diminishing influence of the divine. As the divine forces decay, the narrative may depict a world descending into chaos, with the unraveling of established moral and metaphysical structures declining and just going away. Unhinged realms. The term unhinged realms in the context of scenario that's the end of the world or apocalyptic suggests a narrative where the fabric of reality becomes destabilized, leading to profound and possibly catastrophic consequences for the world as we know it. This speculative concept often involves a breakdown of natural laws, the intrusion of otherworldly dimensions, or the unraveling of the fundamental principles that govern existence. In a quote-unquote unhinged realm scenario, the boundaries between different dimensions or planes of reality may blur or collapse. This could result in the emergence of supernatural entities, distorted landscapes, or the coexistence of multiple realities within the same space. And we've seen kind of the same concept before, so I won't go that deep into it. Philosophical zombie apocalypse. In the realm of speculative fiction, the philosophical zombie apocalypse reimagines the traditional horror narrative with a philosophical twist. Picture a world where zombies, indistinguishable from conscious humans in appearance and behavior, roam the streets. However, these beings lack the essence of subjective consciousness. They act as biological machines, devoid of emotions, thoughts, or personal experiences. This introduces a profound philosophical dilemma for the surviving conscious individuals, who must navigate both the immediate threat of the undead and the ethical quandaries arising from the nature of these philosophical zombies. As the narrative unfolds, many people would grapple with the feelings and wonder, is this a real person? And what defines true consciousness? And is it something more than mere appearance? The story becomes an exploration of the mind-body problem and the limitations of the human understanding when faced with the complexities of subjective experience. Amid the chaos of the apocalypse, the many people would find themselves in existential reflection, pondering the very essence of life and the moral implications of their interactions with beings that mimic consciousness but lack its subjective depth. Simulation takeover. The concept of a simulation takeover as an end-of-the-world scenario and how the world just ceases to exist is a scenario that delves into themes of artificial intelligence, virtual realities, and the nature of existence within a simulated environment. In the simulation takeover narrative, the inhabitants of the simulated reality, which is us, possibly oblivious to their artificial existence, suddenly confront the revelation that their world is controlled or manipulated by entities beyond their understanding. This realization could be triggered by advanced artificial intelligence, extraterrestrial forces, or even future versions of humanity wielding unparalleled technological capabilities. As the simulation is taken over, the boundaries between the simulated world and the external forces blur, leading to disruptions, distortions, and potentially cataclysmic events within the simulated reality. "And God's fury hath no end" suggests a dramatic and apocalyptic narrative where the wrath of anger of deities is ceaseless and boundless. This concept often draws inspiration from religious or mythological themes, portraying a scenario where divine forces unleash a relentless and destructive fury upon the world. In this speculative narrative, the god's anger may be provoked by human transgressions, cosmic imbalance, or violation of sacred principles. This phrase implies that this divine wrath knows no bounds, indicating a perpetual and unending onslaught of calamities, disasters, or supernatural phenomena. The gods, in their fury, become agents of apocalyptic change, reshaping the world and its inhabitants through relentless divine punishment. Mathematical failure scenario suggests a scenario where critical mathematical principles, equations, or systems just fail, leading to widespread consequences for society, technology, or the natural world. This concept often explores the vulnerability of systems that rely on mathematical factions and functions and the potential cascading effects of a breakdown in mathematical order. In this narrative, the failure could stem from various causes, such as errors in fundamental mathematical theorems and compromise of cryptographic algorithms, or the discovery of unforeseen mathematical paradoxes. The consequences of such a failure might manifest in various domains, including technology, finance, communication, or even the laws governing the physical universe. For example, if encryption algorithms were to fail, sensitive information could be exposed, leading to chaos in communication and financial systems. If mathematical principles governing physical processes were to break down, the predictability of natural events would be compromised, resulting in environmental crises or technological failures. The mathematical failure scenario explores themes of reliance on mathematical models and the potential vulnerabilities that come with such dependencies. And alright, that wraps up the apocalyptic scenario, end of the world scenario, whatever you want to call it, Iceberg. This one was definitely out there in its entries and its answers, so I'm not sure how you liked it, because this is not based in reality that much, and most of the videos I do like to be based on real ideas, philosophy, stuff like that, which I might deviate from as I did in this video, but these were definitely out there and definitely just completely made up theories and stuff like that, and I'm not sure have you even enjoyed it. Let me know down in the comments if you even enjoyed this type of video, and if you're still watching, consider subscribing and liking the video. It really means a ton and helps out the video. Comment what videos you'd like to see next. And really means the world for you guys watching. Thank you so much, and thank you for 70,000 subscribers. It's crazy. We're really closing in on that 100K mark. And if you're watching, thank you. And until next time, see ya.